The one item we have under general business tonight is the Downtown Novato Business Improvement District annual renewal for the 2015 calendar year and resolution of intention to levy an annual assessment and set a public hearing for November 11th. And I believe is Assistant City Manager Kathy Capriola going to introduce the item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, the item before you tonight is the kickoff of the annual process for the Downtown Improvement District. A brief bit of history. Back in 1999, a group of merchants came to the council and wanted to create a business improvement district as a way to assess businesses in downtown and then leverage those funds to really try to promote and encourage and bring more businesses to downtown Novato. So council did, in partnership with the private sector, created that the Downtown Novato Business Improvement District, and it's a structure that's used typically across the nation. Since that time, the council has contracted with the DNBA, the Downtown Novato Business Association, to actually act as the bid advisory board. And with that, they are required every year to come to the council and go through a two-step process. And they manage those bid funds that we provide to them every year. The DNBA is a nonprofit organization and is a volunteer board of directors. Within the bid assessment, there's about 380 bid businesses within the bid, and the bid is generated about $54,000 annually. So the process before you tonight is you will be asked to take some actions on the resolution. I'll walk through those in a minute. And then after this meeting, we actually do a mailing to every business that provides a budget and the annual report and some information about the process and the next steps. And then we'll return on November 11th, where there's actually a public hearing on the assessments. So from staff's perspective, this is Peggy Flynn, Public Communication Coordinator, and myself. We have been working closely with the Downtown Business Association for the last year, and we really believe the DNBA and the bid are still vital and important to try to improve the economic health of downtown. We definitely have seen improvements, and we're very excited that the bid has moved forward to hire Tiffany Steves, their new executive director, and they'll be introducing you to her tonight. There's still more to do, but we really think all the right pieces are in place, and there's been a lot of great positive momentum. So tonight the actions you're being asked is really hear a presentation by the DNBA acting as your bid advisory board. They will present the 2015 budget and the annual report. Council does have the authority at this meeting. If you want to make changes to that annual report or changes to the budget, you can make any changes tonight. And you then would be adopting a resolution of intention to levy an annual assessment and setting the public hearing for November 11th. If there are any changes to be made, we would verbally add that within the resolution. The only other action, council did have a conversation about the end of September about the city's partnership with DNBA and making a 3-year seed investment of $50,000 a year, so that there was direction and interest from council to do that. And the other action we're asking for you tonight is to actually direct us to adjust the budget for the 14-15 for $25,000 for effective January 1 to start, and then we would continue that investment for the next 3 years. So I believe that there is an annual report that is up, and there are different members of the DNBA that are going to be coming up and presenting, and so then after that, if the council has questions.
Okay, I'll lead off. First off, I just want to thank the board, which is over on this side, for doing such a great job this year. Put in a lot of hard work. It's a community of business people who also are running businesses, raising families, and also committing time. And it was really helpful this year, and it worked out really well. I want to thank Kathy and Peggy also. Really a joy to work with. Great spirit. They kind of picked us up a few times. And it looks like we're going to be working with them very closely going forward. So having said that, let's see, try and stand up. What we started out with in January was pretty much a brand new board of directors. We also right away started a number of committees to really kind of pick up the ball and get things running. The committees we started were we had our finance committee, and the finance committee did a lot of work on bringing transparency to our accounting system. We posted the All the budgets and financial reports have been posted online, so any member can go and look at those at any time throughout the course of the year. We also worked on our record keeping and our accounting for our events. We really streamlined that process. We worked very closely with Regina, who's our CPA, and she set up a lot of procedures that are common practice for our type of organization, and we really made sure those were followed very closely all year. To the chagrin of some of our event people who had been running things on their own for some time, they were allowed to run things on their own, but they had to show us a budget, and they had to match that budget. So, and everybody came in over budget, so it worked out. Another thing we really worked on was trying to hire a administrative executive director, and we really kind of saved our money all year to where we could bring that executive director on hopefully at the end of the year, which we'll speak to a little bit more. We're very excited about the executive director because we did accomplish that goal. We did hire an executive director. We saved enough money to pay for her as well. Some other things we really worked on this year, we created our marketing guy, Aaron's going to come up and give you a little pizzazz on that, but we really created an event every month, if not one, then a number of events. So we really were kind of rocking the downtown. In fact, we were rocking it this weekend, if anybody was able to get there. And then we really focused on relationship building. Randy's going to speak to that. We really wanted to reach out, get a tight relationship with the chamber. As I've spoken, we really feel like we've got a good relationship with the city now. And also, we reached out to the tourism committee too, and really want to try and help that side of the town kind of go. So we've got some great ideas coming up next year. And again, we just really worked on reaching out to our membership. We'll speak to that. Connie will speak to the block captain side of things. And the block captains will be explained. It's kind of a cool title, but she'll explain exactly how it works. And that's it. So that's kind of an overview. We'll kind of finish up with what we're going to do next year, but right now I'd like to have some of our other members, starting with Andy, come up and tell us what we've been doing.
Good evening. How are you guys? Great. I want to first off thank all you guys for coming to our meetings. I know you guys are always busy. You go to lots of meetings, but it means a lot to us when you come down to Trek and hang out and listen to what we're doing and give some feedback and some advice. And so we appreciate all your time. So thank you guys very much. We've been pounding on the pavement, trying to get people on board, and the way we've been doing that is communication, as Mark was saying. We've tried to update the list. We've gotten lists from the city. We've got our own list. We've sent college kids and high school kids down Grant Avenue to obtain email lists and business cards. So his job was to go into each business and grab a business card. We feel we're missing those guys in the second stories and third stories, or businesses that have recently changed. We're going to continue to do that. In our little group, the communication group, we're going to go ahead and send out these kids and myself and keep the list updated from now on, so then we'll have a really good source of, and multiple sources of communication with mailings, newspaper, and emails. So we hope to hit everybody. If we aren't hitting everybody, please let us know, those of you that are out there that don't get the email list or it's going to the incorrect person. We hope to make it, by the beginning of the year, have everybody in there and have it the best we can be. Again, I want to thank you guys for giving us this opportunity and having the faith in us to go forward and make this the best DNVA we can in North Bay. Thank you guys so much.
Next will be Randy Stemmer.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and staff. Again, I just want to ditto everything that's been said so far. We really appreciate all of your help, and we've come a long way and accomplished a lot, and we expect to accomplish a lot more. What I wanted to talk about was the Strategic Planning Committee, which is made up of myself and Andy Podshadley and Lauren Roberts. And we've worked very closely with the board to be able to bring together all the components, which you can see in our report, with regard to a successful and private sector partnership. And I want to bring to your attention that this is something relatively new for Marin County, and I think that Novato can be very happy about the fact that we have established this public-private partnership and shown that it can work, and that the city and the government and local businesses can work together to achieve common goals. So what we were talking about is who the partners are. Obviously, that's the City Council, the DMBA, the Nevada Chamber of Commerce, and the tourism group, as well as the Novato Theater, have all come together to move forward in these objectives. One of the main foundations of that is the core value of trust, and I think that we've done a lot to build trust over the last year, and not only with our members, but with local businesses and with the city and our partners. We have a shared vision, and that vision has been communicated to the city, and it is in alignment with the objectives that you have already established in your plan, and we're working very closely with the city to bring that to fruition. Our communication has already been talked about, has been established, and we're doing a lot to continue that. And again, we welcome Tiffany Steves as our new executive director, and we look forward to working with her. One thing that I wanted to bring to your attention as an example of the new amount of advertising and promotion that we're doing, some of you may have already been told about this article that's shown up in the North Bay Biz magazine, where the downtown is prominently displayed, and there's several people here that have been mentioned, including Pro Tem Jim McClooney, Ann Wade, Paul Price, and several other businesses that have been talked about in this article. This is a perfect example of the type of thing that we're talking about with regard to that we are now getting a lot of advertising promotion from outside Novato, and I think this is proof positive that what we are doing is taking a big effect, and that we're getting the type of recognition that Novato deserves, and we look forward to doing that in the future. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to invite up Roger Goodwin. Roger is a DMBA board member and owner of Old Town Sports.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for having us. My assignment is to basically go over a few of the accomplishments that we did in 2014 and some of the things that we aspire to do in 2015. To start with, the whole concept of the DMBA was to bring together a group of downtown businesses so we could join together and compete with outside entities and market ourselves in a way that made us competitive with larger centers and so on. That happened almost 20 years ago, and I'm glad to say that I've been on board for the whole time, and this is about the best group and most organized group of members that we've had. They're doing a terrific job. Behind the scenes stuff that you may or may not be able to see. But the big concept, again, was to create some energy and excitement downtown, and I think we've done that in numerous ways. We made an attempt to put on an event virtually every month, partner with a number of the other entities throughout Novato. We've done things like the Sweetheart Stroll and the spring event and the School Fuels Tour Novato. We partnered with the Art and Wine, 4th of July group, and the Wounded Warrior program. We just had Nostalgia Days, which was extremely successful. And this last weekend, Safe Trick or Treat, which was incredibly successful. I want to say my shop personally went through 85 bags of candy. 85 bags of candy. Incredible. Running back and forth to the store all day long. So it takes a lot to bring that kind of energy downtown. So if you walked downtown Novato on Saturday, it was vibrant, and you can't buy that kind of energy. So it was created. And then very, very important to us, we did hire an executive director, and Tiffany Steves, who came on board after a recruitment process with a lot of great help from the city. We had a number of really, really admirable applicants. I mean, it was impressive. I was amazed. But we got the crown jewel of that group, and we're really happy to have her with us. She comes with us with some specialties in branding and marketing, which we sorely can use. She also is experienced in fundraising. Again, that adds to our ability to evolve as an organization and expand ourselves into other ways to make us more profitable. And she's very much experienced in social media. Her entire bio is on the DMVA website, so if you want to go there and take a look, and we're very, very happy to have you, Tiffany, so thanks for coming on board. We'd love to have you, and you've got your hands full. Again, though, I really want to thank the city for partnering and helping with that recruiting process. That was really, really great. The city did a great job there. As Mark has said, that we made an effort to clean up our accounting procedures and do a better job of tracking the way we're spending money and where it's going and who's spending it, and both the invoicing and all much better, more accountable. There's clear records, as we said. You can go online and take a look at the way we're spending our money at any time, so the members know that we're being accountable for the money that we're spending. It's their money to a degree after all. So that whole area has improved tremendously, as well as our expansion of working with the other groups within the city, like the Chamber, like the Nevada Theater, School Fuel, and our relationship now with the city, which has grown immensely in the last year. This is 1 year's progress. So personally, I'm very, very impressed. And like I said, I've been with this a long time. I do want to thank the city for its confidence in the whole idea that you're about to sponsor us with some seed money to help us grow this organization. And I think that's basically the stimuli that it really needs. It gives it the opportunity to have a foundation, a core fund to build on. Not that we'll continue to need that, but for the next 3 years it's going to be very, very helpful. We also had a Savitas group come in, which is a bid analyst specialist, and they took a look at the way we run the bid, at our procedures, at the things that we were doing right and wrong, and gave us quite an extensive review. I don't want to go into the whole thing, but basically, and you probably have copies or haven't seen copies, but the end result was that they said that what we have done is correct, and we're following a really good track, and that we're basically on the right track. So it was good to hear from an outside entity that had no ball in the game. So in 2015, our goal is basically to become a better leader downtown as an organization, so that we can draw in more events, so that we can increase our membership, so we can develop more relationships with other organizations throughout the community. We want to expand our fundraising ability and strategy, which is a big part of what the seed money that you're going to help us lend us will do. And again, with the experience from someone like Tiffany, someone who's professional and done it many times before, these are areas that we had no expertise in. We want to improve and leverage our membership. We want to get a better relationship with our core members, so that not only are we more transparent to them, but we're more approachable and they feel more comfortable in maybe coming down and having more people actively participate. It's an issue. It's always going to be an issue when you're running an organization that's volunteers. And you have a really good group of volunteers here. Again, the whole emphasis and reason for us being here is to brand and create our image and make downtown a better place, and make the outside image of Novato a better, stronger image. And again, we have a professional here now to help us create and do that. So we're excited about this whole thing. And all in all, I think the whole deal is that our mission is to try to do a better job than we've done in the past. I can tell you guys from experience, this particular group is doing a better job than we have ever done in the past. So thank you for your time.
So I'm going to bring Tiffany Steves up now.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Steves. I just wanted to take this opportunity to quickly introduce myself to council and to any members of the DMBA, and also to the community. I'm the incoming executive director, as everyone has told you, and in fact, the first official employee of the organization. So I've just started about 2 weeks ago, so I'm still getting the lay of the land, but I'm really looking forward to digging in and making a difference to not only the face of downtown Novato, but the actual reality that's here. And I know Roger told you a little bit about my experience. My background is working a lot with countries in this branding exercise. And already I can see that there's so much potential here. So I'm really looking forward to working with the city, to working with community partners, and with the members of the DMBA in this process, and to having a really significant impact. I wanted to thank you, as everyone also has, for your show of support for the organization, and to let you know that I am, and I know everyone in the organization is determined to really deliver tangible results for that show of good faith. So thank you.
Thank you. I think on behalf of the council, we just want to say thank you and welcome, and glad to have you on board, and thank you very much.
Great. I'd like to invite up Aaron Thompson, board member and co-founder of Bicycle Brew Stop.
Good evening again, Council. So my intention tonight is to sort of lay the land for where we were at in 2014 and then give a look ahead to what we're planning for 2015. And I think the quote is appropriate. So half the money I spent on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half. And that's a well-known quote from John Wanamaker, who pioneered half and full-page newspaper ads around the turn of the century, I believe. And that uncertainty was creating a lot of tension within the DNBA and within the board and between the membership and the board last year. That a lot of money, the members' perception was a lot of money was being spent. A lot of people did not understand what that was buying for them. And there were a couple of reasons for that, one of them being that the advertising efforts were largely being driven by the vendors, and they all had their own approach, they all had their own reach. But because of that, because of the fact it was being driven by the vendors, the messaging was somewhat inconsistent from one medium to the next. And the targeting was a little bit unfocused. We were reaching different groups with each one and really not pinpointing who we wanted to go after. And each of these organizations came back with what they had defined as their own success metrics, which the DNBA membership and the board as well had a hard time interpreting what were the right metrics to be measuring. They weren't consistent from one vendor to the next, and so that added to the confusion of whether or not the dollars are being spent in a way that was positive and benefiting the downtown. So we decided to completely start over and develop a new marketing plan from scratch, and we spent quite some time with the marketing committee sitting down and trying to figure out who are we as a group and how do we, who do we define ourselves externally, who are we trying to reach, how are we going to reach those people, and then how are we going to measure our success. And so we're with the boundary condition of this uncertain budget at the beginning of the year because we knew that an executive director was coming. We didn't know when. We didn't know, how much of the budget would be redirected towards that. But I want to give a little more background on. You've heard a lot in the past about the drumbeat of monthly events. That was not something that was just come up with out of thin air. That was developed out of looking at website traffic data and saying, when do people visit the downtown Novato website? And you see traffic peaks around every downtown event and around farmers markets on Tuesdays during season. So that really became the core of our effort. And we said, okay, well then let's offer at least one event downtown every single month. And with, kind of an asterisk on that, and we say offer, doesn't mean we have to put it on, but hey, let's help promote it, let's help make it successful in any way we can. And Roger kind of went through a lot of the list for you, but we delivered on that to a large extent this year, including several new events, and Scream on the Green was one of those this weekend, and Safe Trick or Treat, so those two events seemed to play well off each other this weekend, and downtown was, as he said, vibrant and bustling in downtown, especially on Saturday. On to the next slide. So as a piece of that, going back to the success metrics piece, we really tried to use this year advertising media that we could measure, and we don't have to worry about the half of the advertising dollars we're wasting. We're going to know exactly where it's going, and Facebook has been a very good platform for us for that. So this is the wrap-up from the advertising that we've done this year, and we were able to reach 170,000 individual accounts, which is, we've targeted that to people who live within 10 miles in most cases. Some cases we reached out to 25 miles, but in most cases 10 miles of downtown. an average of 3 times a piece. So that's over 500,000 impressions. So that's people seeing our logo, seeing that there are things going on downtown, creating the buzz that we're talking about. The engagement numbers were quite good for an organization such as this, and it also directed a lot of traffic to our website, which is really a place that we want to funnel people through and get to the business websites and really support our membership in that way. Go to the next slide. So building on that is really our strategy for 2015. We've demonstrated successes with the drumbeat event strategy. We've shown that people are interested to come downtown. The events are great. The feedback has been very, very positive from the community. And now we take that and take it to the next level with professional promoters. So the idea is that the marketing committee should now become more of a planning body where we provide the strategic direction for what we want the event to be, and then monitor the advertising efforts. Set the guidelines, set the goals, choose the channels that we're going to advertise through, and then approve the expenditures one by one. And then we'll be partnering with the executive director to help manage the promoter's performance. So this won't be something where we, write a check and hand it off and say, well, geez, I hope it goes well. It's something that we're going to scrutinize and make sure that we're getting good bang for the buck. And then the promoter's job is really to execute the vision, to say, hey, this is the type of event that they want to go have, and they're going to go and make that happen and help us promote it in the way that we want it to be promoted. And also looking forward to 2015, now that we have a more certain budget, we kind of understand where all the numbers are going to fall, we're going to start increasing the advertising expenditures back towards previous levels. The difference being that we're going to examine the channels very carefully and continue to closely monitor the performance so that we're always making sure that the dollars are being spent in a way that helps support the downtown business membership. And with that, I'll wrap up, and I will hand off to Connie, who is going to come up and talk about our new Block Captains program. Thank you.
Well, due to lack of communication with the business owners last year, there was a lot of dissatisfaction. And so Mark wanted to develop a way to communicate with businesses, and he thought of the Block Captain system. And what it is every block in the DNBA will have a block captain. And that block captain, starting next year, will once a month contact every business owner, let them know of the events that are going on, what the DNBA is doing. Then they will also be a conduit to the board. They'll find out what the business owners think of the events, what they think of the DNBA. And the third goal of the block captains is to increase participation and support for the DNBA. And it's been working very nicely. We plan to start meeting quarterly next year with the block captains so that we can go over the input from the business owners more and return the comments to the board so they're aware of what's going on. And that's about it.
And then Mark Dawson to finish up.
I think we've said everything we can say. So I'm going to I guess, open up to questions. Should we do that? Yeah? Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll go ahead and start on the left if there's any questions. Councilmember Eklund?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for a great presentation and for all the work that you've done this last year to do a major correction in the bid as well as the Downtown Business Association. I think that last couple of years have been concerned, but I'm really glad that we're on a new page and a new road, which is kind of fun. The question I have is that I remember a couple of years ago, there was mention that there was a reserve of $100,000, but when I was looking at the budget for 14-15, I didn't see that reserve. Is that reserve still there?
I can't speak accurately to 3 years ago, but I know that from last year to this year, we're maintaining, maybe you can help me, Kathy, I think we've got somewhere in the neighborhood between $60,000 and $80,000.
Yeah, the second page of the budget actually shows, based on their accountant's work, where they think they'll end in reserves in 2014. And for 2015, they're looking at ending this calendar year, because they're on a calendar year basis, so the end of December with $30,000 in reserves, and ending The end of December 2015 was $76,000.
Okay, so then the $100,000 that was in the reserve, I guess, got spent over the last couple of years then?
Some has been spent, and then some has been saved, correct.
Okay.
So I think the net total at the end of 2015 would be 76,000, not 100.
Okay, and given nonprofits, the traditional thought is that you want to keep at least 50% of your budget in a reserve. Is that something that is a policy of the Downtown Business Association of the BID, or is that been discussed yet amongst the board members?
What we tried to do at the beginning of the year was not spend any money and just see what we can do on real tight budgets and really make our money go as far as it could. I think going forward, our plan is to leverage the money that we're receiving from the dues and the assessment, and then the money that the city's given us. We want to use that to leverage, the events and the promoters and the advertising. So if you look at the budget, we anticipate bringing in a lot of money on top of that. So that's our overview. And then on the back side, we're really trying to make sure that we keep I think we're looking at about $20,000 a year. We're trying to keep in the budget with the other money already there brought forward. So that's about where we are with it. And again, I'm not a great accounting reserve person, but that's our strategy, is to keep that kind of $76,000 rolling forward, for the short term right now.
Maybe just one other thing to add. One of the objectives for the DMBA over the next year is to really develop a multi-year kind of both work plan and marketing plan and budget. So I think that will kind of come through those efforts. But part of that, I think, is having the executive director getting on board and then working with their accountant, Regina, to kind of think through what their cash flow needs are and emergency needs. So I would see that as part of that multi-year work plan.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks. Great job.
Councilmember Keller, any questions?
Yes, thanks for your report. Great. It was great to have everybody's perspective thrown into the report here. The question I have is really about target marketing, and I heard, Aaron, you talk about the 10-mile radius and the Facebook, and I'm just curious how we go about targeting people to come to our downtown. I mean, do we go after certain types of businesses? Do we look at combining, jewelry and hair and I'm just curious, what we're thinking there about getting people to not only 10 miles within Novato, but outside of Novato.
I'm going to turn that over to Aaron. Yeah, go ahead.
So the Facebook targeting that we used for this year was generally, we tried to target people that would be interested in the type of event. One of the nice things about Facebook is that you can target people by their likes, their interests, their age, all these different things. So, for example, when we marketed the Nostalgia Days event, we specifically went in and tried to advertise it to people who had liked cars or car-related things. They're race car people maybe, or motorheads, whatever. What have you. And, for other events, for the spring parade, for example, then we targeted that towards people who are in families with kids and that type of thing. So it was on a case-by-case basis. I think, we did a lot of that internally this year. I think going forward, that'll be something that the promoters will probably handle for us, or at least they'll come back with recommendations on who the demographics are that we'd like to reach out to. So that's that's always going to be an ongoing thing where you experiment with it, you learn, and you adjust next time based on your results.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any questions here?
Yes, thank you. Wow. I think everything you've given us is just fantastic. I think the partnerships that you've developed is just fabulous. I think you've really got it together. So, question. The events have always been real community builders, and the strength of a lot of those events are due to the efforts of the volunteers that have been involved with them. And I was wondering, how do you balance the use of professional promoters and that volunteer energy of the people that just love to put these things on?
what we're looking for next year, and it's good that you bring in the kind of the nonprofit side of things, because what we're going to do is several of our events this coming year, we're going to have a charity donation involved with that. We have examples of Wounded Warrior type of event, and then that's kind of a national help. But we've got several events we want to bring in that are going to be directed at local, charities. So we're lining that up. So that kind of ties into our nonprofit kind of thing. And when we're working with the nonprofits, we'll give them the obviously we'll be trading off volunteer, community type of involvement with us supporting them and getting the money to them, and then helping build out the events. So that's kind of that direction. As far as our business community, we're doing it, so we want you to step up. So I think you'll see a lot of that coming up with the Christmas events that we're planning, where we're going to be doing a window. We're going to have a store window contest all the way down the street. We're going to have a treasure hunt, so we're going to be bringing people into people's stores. So I think what we're trying to do is involve the business people at their businesses, because their time's limited, but also show direct benefit by bringing people into their stores. So that's kind of our goal. So the promoters are really, the money and the promoters are for, the basics like site setup, site tear down. If we're doing movie night, which we want to do next year, we're going to pay somebody to put up the movies and take them down. But what we're really looking for is the business people to see a reason to come work with us. And, we're trying to attract, that kind of help. And we've really been picking up a lot of steam that way this year.
Great. So it sounds like you're still going to be using volunteers, and you even hope for more.
Yeah, and volunteer
in terms of businesses
with a direct benefit.
Yes,
I'm looking at it.
Right. Okay. And then on the some of your budget items for your revenues, some of those appear somewhat optimistic, but is that based on some knowledge that you've developed along with the executive director and the staff of what you can anticipate making in those events, or based on other communities, or how do you come up with those numbers?
They are optimistic, and I think the definition of optimism is we can't prove them. We have they haven't been done before. However, we've taken the events that we're working on, and the way a lot of the events have been done is now going to be amplified and supported. So we're just adding a little bit to these kind of different events, and we're adding events. And then we're really kind of checking with we're checking with promoters and asking them what kind of sponsorship can we expect. And we're talking to other outfits like the Chamber of Commerce, what kind of, money do you guys raise? And we're talking to we're hoping to, coordinate with the city and be able to put on events where the city sponsors us where they can and where they can help. And then we, working, together. And then we're also looking at, people like, like the hotel people. If we did something that met their goals, can they bring money to the table? So a lot of this is good hard work up front, saying what kind of events are going to appeal to sponsors, appeal to people, and that's where we're going with it. And then with all of that optimism, we still are coming up with, I think, how much over surplus? Kathy, or?
Looking at 30,000 this December and over 70 at the end of it.
Yeah, so we can come in with the $70-some thousand surplus, and we can be optimistic, and we can still be optimistic and miss by 30,000 and still break even.
Sure. Well, it's better to be optimistic than pessimistic, so
yeah,
that's good. That's good. You got to have a goal. So then, final question for kind of staff and DMBA is the plan for the budget and all the programming and everything to be kind of self-sustaining by that year 4? Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah, the vision with the 3 years of the city seed investment, the DMBA will need to look at, and the DBID will need to look at how they're going to leverage that funding. But yeah, by year 4, the plan would be hopefully they can be self-sustained, and then maybe the council decides, it's not the full 50, but maybe you want to continue at a $20,000 investment or something. I think that's all to be determined, but clearly we really think that a professional executive director will take the organization miles, and there's we have great events that really can be taken up a tier and really leveraged, and we have great experience in town, like Arts and Wine and some of these events that really are large fundraisers for nonprofits in town. And the DMB has never really operated that way. It's always been a break-even community event. They've never really used the events really as a leverage opportunity. And so based on overall marketing, et cetera, we think that there's opportunities for them to grow, plus also really grow just general sponsor of, and you know, there could be creative DMBA memberships or something. I know Tiffany's got a lot of ideas, and there's a lot of good ideas to steal from other downtown associations. This is not something that has to be recreated, so there's a lot of, we can learn from our colleagues in other cities and steal some of their best practices. So we think, and John Lambeth, you know, believed that this was really possible, and we think the city's seat investment will help them kind of jump to that next stop.
Great. Thank you all very much.
Denise?
Thank you very much. Great presentation by all of you. Do you have any plans like next year to, because I tend to go to most of your membership meetings and tends to be the same people that were there, which are mostly sitting right here as well. And it's just a lot of effort for you guys to do that and to put it out every month and the whole bit. Is there any thought to maybe looking at your bylaws, maybe making some changes as to how that is? Like the chamber doesn't have, you know, membership meetings, but maybe change them so that it becomes a possibility of going quarterly or biannually to maybe get more people at those so that they don't think it's just a grind on that?
Funny you should ask. But yeah, one of the things we do want to do next year is really, and I think a couple of guys touched on, is we want to bring our input from our board to a strategic, you know, we're the advisory board for the bid, and we're the governing body of our association. We want to move ourselves to more of a strategic level, as instead of being out there setting up the, you know, handing out the parasols for every event, you know, kind of thing. So with that thinking is cutting down on the number of meetings. We also want to make good use of our executive director and not have her just sitting in 10 meetings a week and getting nothing done. I mean, you can always get stuff done at meetings, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do. So along with that, we're looking at some ways to streamline our meetings. So part of that might be we go to we have a combined general meeting and board meeting type of thing. So then that's once a month, and then everybody, and then what we want to do in order to get more participation, we want to have a couple of events a year where we bring all the members in and have a meet and greet, like we're going to plan for January. We want everybody to come in and meet Tiffany, meet the new board that we elect. So we're going to have more, you know, more publicized, more, you know, reach out to people and try and get them there instead of just having that monthly do. But we do want to maintain the monthly availability for people or business members to come in and talk to the board about stuff that's going on. That's very valuable. We've been picking up a lot of good comments all year for that. So that's kind of the direction we're going, streamlining it, but putting more effort into bringing people together a couple times a year instead of the monthly kind of thing.
And I understand that your board meetings are now in the evening?
Everything is 7 o'clock on Wednesday night.
So it is possible for members to also go to the board meeting?
Yeah, that's what we...
And address you in public comment like we do?
Yes, one of the things we're thinking about is doing that. So that we have, the first part of the meeting would be public comment, and then, yeah, and then after that we can stop that and then do our board meeting, but the board meeting's open.
Excellent. Well,
People
excellent
can
job.
sit in on our board meetings too.
I also wanted to thank Peggy and Kathy for the tremendous work that you've done with the DMBA. I mean, it's a whole different story this year as it was a year ago, and I'm really proud of all of you.
Just maybe one other thing I would add, Councilman Mathis, is that within the budget, there is actually a line item under administration for board and association development for $10,000. That really is partly, there is some work that needs to be done on their bylaws. They'll need some legal assistance to do that.
Yes.
Also some board development and organizational development. You know, again, that's part of the seed money, is really to invest and take the organization. So there is some money within the budget to actually be able to do that. And whether it's Civitas did the assessment or another firm to be able to help them, there is money in the budget to be able to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I don't have any questions other than just say congratulations on all the incredible work you're doing. Saturday was just incredible in downtown. You know, maybe it was just seeing everybody in costume walking up and down Grant, but it was really a phenomenal event. It brought people downtown, and I'm really excited to continue to see more and more of that. The movie night, I think, is going to be a huge hit. So really just congratulations. Keep up the great work. Tiffany, welcome aboard. And I know there's one question about the budget reserves. I can't remember who it came from. I don't know if that 50% mark is something I would recommend at all. With a group like the DNBA, when you've got one staff person, you don't have rent, you've got, if the money isn't there, then you can reduce your expenses. I would rather see that money leveraged and used with, some reserves, but certainly not a 50% mark. I think you guys are on task with your budget, and very excited to see where this goes in the future. So congrats.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
Public comment then?
Yes. Is there any public comment? Or are they all the DNBA board? Jerry, come on up, Jerry.
It's funny because usually I could be the wind-up batter in public comment, and there's nobody pitching in front of me. But I got to ask, does anybody have the score?
No. Hear it. La, 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 la.
Okay. All right. I won't say it. No comment. Thank you very much.
If the police chief was here, I might have to ask him to escort you out on that
I say nothing. Thank you. I'm here tonight. As you know, I'm involved in a number of things locally. Right now, I'm a past president of the chamber, and I'm the vice president of the chamber currently, and on the executive committee and on the board. And Chamber's policy is not to have anybody speak for the Chamber other than the Executive Director, our CEO, or the President. Unfortunately, tonight our President is in Chicago. She's not staying out to the game. Our Executive Director, our CEO, is at another meeting that was called tonight outside the county. And however, I think I can honestly give the sense of the Executive Committee and the Board itself and many of its members that we're very impressed. The Chamber is very impressed with what DNBA has done the last year. No small amount of that is due to Kathy and to Peggy, the amount of work they've been doing behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. You have what Mark has been doing, the staff. I've been to a number of their board meetings. It's impressive what they're working, their attitude. There's an organization underway. There is a real a sense of willingness and we want to get it done attitude. I think that's wonderful. I'm sure the board members of the Chamber would agree with me to say we've got a real thing going here, and I think it's wonderful. And it goes with the feeling that we live in a wonderful place. Thank you very much.
All right. Seeing no other public comment, we'll bring it back to council for discussion or action.
I'd love to move, sorry. Okay, you second it. I'd like to move the resolution of the City Council of the City of Novato declaring its intention to levy an annual assessment within the downtown Novato Business Improvement District.
Second.
Okay. We have multiple. Who is the second on that one?
Give it to Madeline.
Okay, so
For the next motion.
Motion by Councilmember Athas, second by Councilmember Kellner. We'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Athas?
Aye.
Councilmember Eklund?
Aye.
Councilmember Kellner?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McClamey?
Aye.
And Mayor Lucan?
Aye. Passes 5-0.
So do you need a motion
Yeah, I
on
think
this?
there's a second motion that needs to be made. I'd like to make that one.
Sure.
And that is that we continue the city's partnership with the DNBA, and by doing that we allocate $50,000 each year. And I know for this year, we need to allocate $25,000 to amend our budget in the 14-15 budget.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Athas?
Aye.
Councilmember Eklund?
Aye.
Councilmember Kellner?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McClamey?
Aye.
And Mayor Lucan?
Aye. That also passes 5-0.
And Mayor Lucan, there is one other action. I do need the council, item B, to approve the downtown bid annual report and the 2015 budget.
I'll move that item.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second. We'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Athas?
Aye.
Councilmember Eklund?
Aye.
Councilmember Kellner?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McClamey?
Aye.
And Mayor Lucan?
Aye. That also passes 5-0. All right. Thank you so much to staff and the board.